Welcome everyone. Please say hello and either choose a word that summarizes your day so far, or perhaps just let me know how your day's going. But please do say hi to everybody. Let everybody know how you're doing, perhaps where you're tuning in from or how your day's going so far. Be lovely to, hi Samira, hello, lovely to see you. Hi Rick. Great to see you. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you. Hi, Olivia. Hey. Hi, Meg. How are you? Good to see you. Please keep saying hello, connect, let us know where, perhaps which company or where you're located, something about you that makes you a little unique. Let everyone know how you are doing, how you all are. Really nice to be here with you. And I'm so looking forward to a whistle-stop tour all about habits. Really looking forward. Just a moment. Just checking we've got everything technologically sorted out. All right, welcome. How are we all? Lots and lots of you joining. Which is just awesome to see. There's nearly 200 of you online at the moment, which is just amazing. And from all over the world, from USA, Canada, London, Portugal, Malta, Wiltshire, beautiful part of the world, Wiltshire. Hi, Sue, how are you? How are you doing? Lots of lovely people I can recognize online here. Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much for taking out your lunch break and for using this time to be with me today. We're going to give it about another minute just as people are joining, but please do keep connecting with one another. Let us know how you're doing, how your day's going. Lots of you from the US of A, which is just fabulous. I'm so pleased to be here with you all. Fantastic. Hi, Elise. I know exactly who that is. Hello, Alicia. Gosh, it's been a while. How are you? Lovely to see you. Elise. Hi, Sally. Hello. Oh, lots of familiar names and some perhaps that haven't worked with me or met me before, but I'm really pleased to spend some time with you today. So I think we are going to get going. I think we're going to get going. And what I would appreciate, hey, Sarah, this is our fabulous Sarah that's just launched our Belfast team. So if you know anybody that's hiring in Belfast, you must reach out to Sarah. Hello, Sharon. Goodness me, it's been a while. Hi, Tammy. Qatar, fabulous. County Down, there you go, Jill. Oh, I'm so pleased to be here with you all. And I think it's probably about time that we got going. So I'm going to present to you today, no notes, no nothing, just what I know and understand about habit, and what I know and understand about the power of the capability that we all have to create a set of habits that really set us up for professional and personal success. And the ripple effect of those is just amazing. And you will have much greater, sense of calm, much greater sense of self, great big boost to your self-esteem. You will be able to ask for what you need, what you want more, recognize your own boundaries. That the power of setting ourselves up for success with the right habits has an incredibly huge impact in all areas of our lives. So who am I? Because I do believe there's some people on this on the call today that I haven't yet had the pleasure of either working with in terms of our search and recruitment business or in our training and development area. So allow me just to let you know a little bit about my background. So I'm the very proud founder of CNC Search, which is a search and recruitment company specializing, well, with specialist teams in investor relations, in HR people and talent, and in support staff recruitment. Hello, Melissa. And then in terms of CNC Academy, I train and speak for organizations globally, Amazon, Warner Brothers, Sony, Lazard. There have been many, many, many opportunities that I've had to share my knowledge and tools with organizations as far-flung as Australia to Singapore and in London. I am somebody that loves to learn, and I think having built teams, both myself and in my own business, and for organizations all over the world, what I see is that our habits are things that block our success over and over again. So partly, I think partly that fascination piece of supporting organizations with hiring and also growing ourselves has been that I have wanted to get qualified in areas that I'm particularly interested in. So after I finished my ICF coaching diploma, I went on to specialize in habit change because it's an area that really interests me. So I think what underpins everything we do, both CNC Search and in CNC Academy, is underpinned from my own passionate belief in our infinite potential. That's mine, that's yours, that's ours. And today I know full well that no matter what habits you think you've got that are just going to be such a challenge to break or change or shift, I promise you, you have all the potential and everything you already need inside of you to make those changes happen. And I've seen that firsthand. Now, I really love an interactive webinar. It's really important that by sharing, that we allow others to share, we also suddenly realize, it's not just me feeling that way. There's actually so many of us that feel similar feelings, or think similar thoughts, or get stuck in similar areas. And so I'd love for you to have the opportunity to allow other people to feel they're not alone. So a few quick things. We are recording today's session. We will share the session afterwards. Please keep an open mind, take what you need, leave what you don't. And if for any reason that you need to take a walk or go and grab a drink, whatever else you need to do to keep yourself comfortable during the webinar, then please do so. We're going to be together for about 30 or 40 minutes today, and I'm going to give you the highlights of some of the workshops and talks that I give for the organizations that we work with around habit change, and you can then take hopefully some of those into the rest of your day today pretty much immediately. So we're going to learn a little bit about the science behind habit and what willpower is and what it isn't, and whether it works or not, how we change habits. Can we change habits? What are power habits? What are the habits that, if you are able to bring into your life on a day-to-day basis, will create a foundation for you building the set of habits that will set you up for the most successful version of your life and what that looks like for you. Okay, so let's just start with picturing this. So I want you to just in your mind, picture that your life was built upon a set of habits, all of which were on your own side. All of which were on your own side. What would life be like for you? And I'd love you to share in the chat box. What would life be like? What would it feel like? What would you be doing now that you're not? What would you be saying? What would you be doing? What would be different? Let me know what would be different in your life right now if your habits were all on your own side. So what I mean by being on your own side is a habit that's on your own side, for example, would be meditating every morning rather than scrolling on your phone. So some of you would be fitter, some of you would be less stressed, getting things done, not procrastinating, in control, fearless, yes. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of you feeling much more in control, much happier, thriving, more organized. Okay. Yeah. You'd be taking care of your own needs. Yeah. A lot of you talking about procrastination and control. Yeah. It's really interesting, isn't it? I think a lot of us would be much more present, would worry a lot less anxious, more capable, more able, less stressed again. Yeah, I could not agree more. Now you can have that life. You can have access to those feelings of calm, control, focus, ability to reach full success, whatever that looks like for you, career-wise, personal-wise. Yeah, more me time. So interesting, isn't it, that the power of habit is so enormous because it gives us access to the life we really want. You'd start every morning with yoga. I love that. So we cannot think our way into a new way of acting and feeling. So we can't think about it. We can only act our way into a new way of thinking and feeling. So the first thing we have to decide is that we want to take action. So that is the first big decision to make when you are curating your habits, and is that you are going to take action. So who here is ready or open to taking action around their habits? Who here feels committed, ready, willing? Okay, so some of you are straight and absolute yes. I love that. Brilliant. So there are lots of you that are ready to create change. Fabulous. So we have all these neural pathways, right? We have all these neural pathways, and at any given time in our life, we are the sum of what we repeatedly do. We are the sum of what we repeatedly do. And I was talking to a client of mine recently who had changed one thing in terms of their habits. So this person was repeatedly getting up at 6 a.m., got up at 6 a.m. every single morning, and every single morning straight on her phone. The follow on from that was that she then would get sucked into emails at 6 a.m. and then she wouldn't go on her Peloton, which was sat ready waiting for her downstairs, just a quick 20-minute ride before getting on with her day. The follow on from that is that by the time she got to work, she felt grumpy, de-energized, that she was already completely activated by all her emails. The follow on from that is that because of that, she started to reach for the biscuits in the morning, because to try and give herself that comfort, which, that little dopamine hit. And as a result of that, she would then punish herself by 11 o'clock for eating the biscuits. Then she'd make a lunch choice that wasn't so good. She'd sit at her desk. She wouldn't go for a walk. And then by the time she got home, she felt so fed up with going on this loop that she had a glass of wine, when actually what she really wanted to do was to go out, take the dog out and go out for a walk at that moment, just to switch off and decompress. All from that one moment of getting into the emails at the beginning of the day. So this is what she did, and it has changed her life. And this is going to sound mad as one tiny thing that can change your life. But that is, she started putting a pint glass of water next to her bed in the morning and putting her phone on charge on the other side of the room. And she started to drink the water every single morning, because we're dehydrated, right? When we wake up, our bodies are dehydrated. We're desperate for water. And because she drank the water and felt good about that, she then started to pick up the gym kit, go downstairs, do her 20 minutes. Because she'd done her 20 minutes, she then felt really refreshed, focused, ready to go to get to work. When she got to work, she made healthy choices because she felt good about herself and what she'd already achieved, and so on and so forth. And all it took was switching one thing. So what habits are a lot of automation. So if you think about artificial intelligence, it's a lot of how our brain works. Is our brain is exhausted a lot of time from all of the decisions it needs to make. And what it does, it tries to create shortcuts. And when we have a habit, it's because the brain has created a shortcut. This works, or we've been doing this so often, this is just what we do. Your neural pathway forms a habit loop. And then we just move into automation. And you will be shocked when you realize just how much of our life we live in automation rather than conscious thoughts. So when I asked you earlier, are you ready to start looking at creating new pathways, new habits, new foundations for your life? What I was really asking you to do is to ask you to feel optimistic and that there is an opportunity for change and that change is possible, because nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save us. We are in charge of our lives. We are in charge of our actions. We are in charge and in control of way more than we realize we are. But the first thing is this Lao Tzu quote is one of my favorites. What's your thoughts, they become your words. What's your words, they become your actions. What's your actions, because they become your habits. What's your habits, they become your character. And what's your character, because it becomes your destiny. So what we've got to figure out, first of all, is how we want to feel. Okay, one of the best possible ways for starting to create this foundation of habits is to get really clear on how we want to feel. So often when we pick or we're looking at our habits, we either move into shame, to punishment, lack of compassion, or we get fixated on how we don't want to feel. And that doesn't work for our brain. Our brain loves rewards, and we're going to talk about that. So focus on how you want to feel. Maybe it's strong, maybe it's focused, maybe it's calm, maybe it's energized. How do you want to feel? What do you want that predominant feeling to be? And maybe you've got a word of your year and you can tie that in. Perhaps you've thought about a word of your year. My words are two. I've got transformation with ease for me. It's also our, in our recruitment company, that's also our word of the year, is that lovely sense of evolution. So what do you want your predominant feeling to be? Then we can start to look at behaviors around that. And it's got to be something you want to move towards, okay? Something you really want to move towards. But we've got to start with this bit first. And we've got to feel really connected to that feeling and really focused on making that happen. So keep them coming. Keep those feelings coming, and we'll send you this habit audit, and you can use this when we start to look at your habits, because what we want for someone like Olivia's energized. So what can you build into your week that is going to help you feel that way? Calm, again, what can you build into your week that's going to create that sense of emotion, that sense of feeling? Energized. Yeah, what can you bring in? And then you can use this habit audit, and this will really help you to reinforce the behavior. So somebody I think mentioned earlier, okay, well, how do you keep these things sustainable? And they're hard to change, right? Habits are hard to change. We've seen even in people that suffer from brain damage that actually that the habits are so deeply ingrained in our basal ganglia, the bit of the brain that's responsible for storing those habits, is those habits can continue even after an accident, because that's how deeply ingrained they are. But there are lots of things that we can do to support ourselves and set us up for success. So doing a weekly reflection and then a monthly reflection will really help you to bring in. So for those of you that have chosen your word, the feeling you want to feel, just start to share in the chat box, what's one thing that you could bring into your week? Bit like the client I was just talking to you about, the glass of water. What's one thing that you could bring in that would help move you towards that feeling, and that could become a habit if it's done repeatedly? Okay. So what's really scary is that once we create a habit, our brain stops participating fully in that decision making. Now, that is brilliant if you are doing the things that you're mentioning here, reading for 20 minutes, exercising, relaxation, fantastic, but not so good when it's a habit that creates self-sabotage or doesn't get us on our own side. And these patterns unfold automatically. You know, have you ever made a decision in the morning that you're not going to do something? I am not going to do that thing today. And then at the end of the day, you suddenly found yourself doing exactly the thing that you promised yourself you would not do, because perhaps you were tired, angry, lonely. Perhaps you were one of those things. And maybe then all of a sudden you find yourself on repeat, and it's because our brain isn't participating. So we want to really try and create different shortcuts for our brains. And there's a few things we're going to really need to do that. But I want you to understand, first of all, why we do those things, those habits that aren't on our own side. And that can be so many things: scrolling, shopping, complaining. It could be negativity, gossip. It might be, for some people, it might be too much wine, crisps, unhealthy foods, things that don't make us feel good. And we think, why the hell is this happening? And it's because ultimately there's always a reward loop somewhere. But this is the punishing cycle of habits that don't get us on our own side. So we have a craving, usually because we are stressed, hungry, lonely, tired, feeling a big feeling. And we've learned that grabbing that glass of wine helps squash that feeling. So then we indulge in the glass of wine, and because it's a glass of wine, it's given me a little dopamine hit, which is great. I've got my dopamine hit, because we want to be oxytocin seekers. We don't want to be dopamine seekers. So I have my dopamine hit. But of course, as we all know, that alcohol is actually a depressant. So we have more, we look for more, we look for more, and then we move into regret. You know, we're awake at 2:30 in the morning, so our system hasn't processed the alcohol, and then the next day we're not on form. Perhaps we're not as patient as we want to be with our children, or we're grumpy and tired at work, or we're not productive and we're not doing the right thing. And so the cycle continues, because the brain says to us, oh, you've got that feeling of shame, and I now need that glass of wine in order that I can stop feeling that big feeling. And so it goes on. And all the time, we're not in our conscious mind. We're just on autopilot. And it's really hard on ourselves, that loop. And it's pretty tough, because the brain is hardwired to create those loops and keep them going. So sometimes it's about keeping the ritual and changing the substance. But to create new habits, we need to understand the habit loop, and we need to understand that we need to feel rewarded. We need to look at our different cues. So whether it's people, places, things, look at what we normally do in those moments, and then reward ourselves, but trying to keep these super healthy, happy, positive, moving towards habits, not the sort of habits that keep us stuck. And I'm sure you've seen this. I can see so often when somebody has so much potential, whether that's somebody in the team I'm working with at any given time, or candidates that we're working with, or clients I'm working with. And so often it's our habits that stop us from being able to reach our full potential. So what we can do is, first of all, decide what we are truly sick and tired of being sick and tired of. Because a lot of these things work until they don't they? A lot of these things work until they don't. They were a short-term solution that becomes a long-term problem. And it's working out how then we can let some of those go and welcome in new habits that really support us. And it's just knowing that our habit cues get activated from different things: our emotions, other people, locations, time, something that happened, so something that just happened. So it's finding out really healthy ways to handle our bigger emotions, to handle people that trigger us, to handle certain things we have to manage at work, to handle being in certain places or around certain family members or certain times of day, all of those sorts of things. And what we tend to rely on, isn't it, is willpower. So we tend to think, I am going to white knuckle this. I'm just going to make it happen. I'm not doing that thing anymore. I'm going to have the water, not the scrolling. But the problem is that we're making over 35,000 decisions a day. And willpower is like a battery. It starts off like this at the beginning of the day, or maybe even like this if you haven't had enough sleep. And slowly, as you make all those decisions, it depletes. And that's why willpower doesn't work. And it's why we need to set ourselves up for success in different ways when we want to build these incredible habits that are going to get us to where we want to go. And one of the questions that you can ask yourself when you see yourself going into autopilot, or you notice that you're doing the thing that doesn't always necessarily make you feel great and sends you back into that punishment loop, is, does this support the life I'm trying to create? Is what I'm doing right now supporting the life I'm trying to create? And I try and ask myself that all the time. I was about to take, so for example, I was about to take a phone call before doing this webinar. I could see it was a client. It's obviously important. All clients are very important. And what I realized is that one of my old habits is I would take that phone call, even though it was just before I was about to do something really important. Then I wouldn't be able to get fully present. I wouldn't be fully focused. And as a result of that, I would feel stressed. And then at the end of whatever it was then I was doing, whether it's a webinar like this or a meeting with a client or anything else, I would then feel more exhausted. And I could then get into a sense that I'm always on. I'm always in that place of service. And actually, I can speak to that client after this. It means I can get fully present. It means I can relax. And it means I can do breathing and a couple of minutes of centering, which for me is really, really important before I do anything like this, so that I can get really, really present, which is what I did. But ask yourself, does what I am doing support the life I am trying to create? We are all capable of change. So often I hear people saying, I will always be, I will never. This is just how it is. And actually, in that moment, we have created a blocker to change. And as a result of that, we will never build the life of our wildest dreams because we've already decided it's not available to us. So we have to have the intention, the desire to create the change that we really want. And that means taking action. So the three parts of creating change are the prep, the action, and maintenance. And it's the maintenance bit that is most important, is creating the systems. So what can we do? All right. Well, first of all, your intentions or your goals need to matter to you. And that's why I was asking you at the beginning, how do you want to feel? How do you really want to feel? Because if your intentions, habits that you're going to set yourself up with are based on how you really want to feel, you are about 70 odd % much more likely to make it happen rather than it's something you think you should do. And I went through a big long period of thinking I should wake up at 5 a.m. I had this big thing that that's what really successful business owners do. I should be doing that I will be so much more successful. The business will be so much more successful if that's something I do. But the problem for me is actually my body did not want to get up at 5. I already get up very early anyway. And I realized that actually it wasn't because I really wanted to feel something or really believed in it. I thought it was something I should do because I saw other people doing it too. Yeah. And then we have to have flexibility. So often people punish themselves for not being able to have perfect days every day with these habits that we're trying to create. But actually, that's normal. And luckily, our brain is really plastic and really elastic. So we have a plasticity in our brain, which means it's adaptable, and we have an elasticity, which means we can come back to doing the right thing if we allow ourselves to notice with compassion that we've come off track, and then work out what's the next thing I could do to help get me back on track with compassion. We are all imperfect. We're all susceptible to going back to old things and old habits. It's a bit like why somebody I know that went through a really, really stressful period in their lives, hadn't smoked for 15 years. And I met up with her and she said, I'm going outside for a cigarette. And I couldn't believe it. But then I remembered just how hardwired those old methods of our brain's understanding of things that worked. And the last time she'd quit smoking, and had that long period away. But the thing was, her brain had remembered in that pathway somewhere that, when you used to get really stressed, this worked. But because she'd been compassionate towards herself just after the first cigarette, rather than punishing herself, she could have gone back to being somebody that doesn't smoke, if that was important to her, which it was. So the more we can nurture our ability to observe and pay attention to what our triggers are, to what our patterns are, then the chances are we're going to have much more likely sustained change. And one of the most important bits of that is getting enough sleep. We are really, really challenged in terms of the choices and the decision we make when we are tired. So tiredness and enough sleep is one of the easy ways to really try and set yourself up for success. And there's a few other things, which is we know that meditation actually really improves self-control and choice. We know that breathing, so often we forget to breathe, is something else that helps our stress response, which again improves self-control. And focusing what we will do rather than what we will not do also really helps. Exercise improves self-control too, because it also allows our battery to be increased, restores energy rather than depleting it. So you've got to figure out, am I just interested in creating new habits, or am I curious? You need to move from being interested and curious to committed. And you need to keep visualizing your life, feeling the feeling you all described at the beginning, and knowing that it will take work. Nothing in life worth having isn't work. And that's part of the joy. That's part of the experience of reaching your destination, but trying to make sure it's actually all of the aspects as we move along that line towards what we want that are the brilliant parts of human experience. So your true desire to be free of a specific habit and to move into a new way of acting and being has to be stronger than the force of the habit itself to make that change. So some of the ways that you can give yourself the best possible chance of success are these: to invest, join a club, join a support group, join a course, buy a book, whatever it might be, listen to a podcast, invest up front. And when I say make it public, I'm talking about accountability buddies or accountability groups. Again, much more likely to be successful. Set yourself a timeline. It takes about 66 days. It's not an exact science for a new neural pathway to be formed. so that your new healthy habit or your happy habit, whatever you want to describe it as, your success habit, can become automated. And then you've really got to assess what is in my environment that could trip me up. What is in my environment that could take me back to that old habit that's not serving me? And so do an audit. What do I need around me to make this habit happen? And what do I need to make sure that I remove from my environment that isn't going to support me with that? So you want some of the things that you can really do is to reward yourself regularly for doing the things that you want to ingrain as a habit. So how could you reward yourself? For those of you that thought of a habit that you really want, you thought of a feeling you really want to feel, what could be little rewards? What could be something that you could do to really help your brain learn that this feels really good? For me, it's noticing when what I'm doing and giving myself a little congratulations. It might be booking a massage. It might be, I mean, there's lots of things that I do. But how could you do it? But I try and find little rewards as well. Little and often is really, really good. Social incentives, progress tracking. All of these things make a huge difference. And we know sort of science-backed, it's a make a star chart. I used to use that with my daughter. So we know that overarching happiness doesn't actually come from the end goal. That's a boost. We actually know that if you're a person that set yourself up for success in a process, that actually happiness, overarching happiness, comes from the process, the progress, and the growth. And noticing that really helps. So habits that will keep you stuck or you keep thinking, I'm never going to be able to stop that habit, is also a lot of that language. So go back to that Lao Tzu quote. And if we keep thinking things like, I can't do it, I'm missing out on, I have to do this, if I don't do this, this will happen. We want the language to be super positive around creating habit change. Won't it be exciting if I stick with this? I'm going to feel so fantastically energized by committing to this. I'm really looking forward to seeing my growth by making this happen. So using really positive language around any habit that you're looking to change will be also incredibly impactful. So some of what they call keystone habits for success. And remember, success is individually defined, but let's just use it as an overarching word for now. But some of the keystone habits are these: water, movement, planning your day out the next day, planning for the week, planning for the months, meditating, music, enough sleep, and gratitude. So that we are aware that these are some of the keystone habits to creating a successful life. Now, there are obviously more, but we see, or scientists see, when they analyze, people that are particularly successful, happy, is that they tend to be really good at having these aspects ingrained in everyday life. And that these things are going to impact how they eat, play, live, spend, communicate in a really positive fashion. So it takes on average about this 66 days. Did you know that? Some people hear 21 days, some people hear 12 days, but it takes about 66 days. And you're going to go through a process. So you're going to go through often the process of habit change is sort of it's a bit like a sort of wiggly line. And what it does is it takes us sometimes the understanding that we're going to go through a slight roller coaster to stick with the growth part, to stick with the change happening. Because you're going to go through uncomfortable bits. You're going to go bits where it doesn't feel like anything's changing. You're going to go through bits where it feels amazing. and you get that real pink cloud feeling that, oh my goodness, this just feels great. And then you're going to wonder why it doesn't feel so rewarding again. But that is just the process. And it's just knowing and being compassionate and supportive. And I think most people that have been on any of the webinars before will know that this is a really brilliant thing to do with a new habit that you want to bring into your life. So if your wish is that every morning you want to meditate for 5 minutes, really focus then on what the outcome would be. So what would happen if for the next 3 months you meditated for 5 minutes every morning? You'd feel really calm, you'd feel relaxed, you'd be focused, you'd be more productive, you'd make better decisions, you'd be able to respond rather than react. And all of those things would be amazing, right? But what we've got to remember is that there's going to then be some obstacles, isn't there? What are obstacles? I mean, potentially your children might wake you up early, or you might feel tired, or you start answering your emails rather than looking at your phone, or perhaps you haven't set up an area in the house where you'd want to meditate. Distractions, yes. But then you have to create a plan. So if these things come up for me, what can I plan for to make it easy for me to create those changes? So some of the things that we don't do when we are looking at these habits is we forget to connect it to a bigger vision. We commit to losing 13 stone in 3 months and then wonder why we've set ourselves up to fail. We try and change everything at one time. We just use willpower. We don't create a community. We don't make it clear or specific. We don't track and we don't celebrate our wins. And these are the things that really hold us back. So we want to make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. So if you're someone that, say, for example, wants to exercise in the morning, is put your kit right by your bed where you can see it. Put your kit right by your bed when you can see it. Make it attractive, make it something you want to put on in the morning. Make it really easy. So your exercise area is already set up, ready to go, and then make it satisfying. As soon as you've finished, make yourself that delicious coffee that you've been looking forward to. Give yourself a little pat on the back for doing it. But we really need to make sure that reward system is in place. And if it's something in the house that's not serving you, is make it invisible, make it unattractive, remove those things that you just don't need around you that take you back to where you don't want to be. So you can also do a bit of habit stacking, okay? So you can also do a little bit of habit stacking. So once you get good at bringing in these habits that are going to take you towards building the life you really want and deserve to live, and have the career success you want, and the personal success and the relationship success and all of those good things that come as byproducts, is you can start to pick a habit and stack. So you might have before or after I clean my teeth, I will do a breathing exercise for a minute. So that's how you can start habit stacking. And we know that that's very, very effective at building all up this great sort of roster of habits that are going to create great change for you. So perhaps even before or after you clean your teeth, before or after you have your cup of tea, before or after you reach for your phone, I will, and then a new habit. The people that are most successful at changing habits are people that view themselves as the world being full of potential, full of opportunity. We know that optimistic people, or people that choose to change people that choose to choose another thought after a thought that's not going to serve you. That's something I do a lot. If I have a thought that's not going to help me, it's like, what thought can I choose to think now that will help to take me towards where I want to go? You will create a lot easier change in your life if you're somebody that is able to take personal, radical responsibility for the way things are and decide to make the changes needed. So some of these that keep us stuck in a lack of optimism are, and I know that I need to be mindful of time, complaining, judging, Making negative comments, starting with no, but, however, reacting over responding. Negativity, let me explain why that won't work. Withholding information, failing to give proper recognition, gossiping about others. Making excuses, not taking action, not telling the truth, passing the buck, punishing a messenger, clinging to the past, playing favorites, not being inclusive, claiming credit that we don't deserve. These, failing to express gratitude, these are the things that keep us from seeing the world as an abundant place full of opportunity. And I would love for you all just to make a call on those last 2 slides of because we're human. What could I purposefully decide to stop doing from this list? And if anyone's brave to share one, that would be fantastic. What could you decide to let go of? So excuses, the past, yeah. Eating salami. I don't think that was on the list, Lorenzo, but yeah, okay. And the past, yeah, it's a big one. That's so true. I think a lot of us go into that victim place of clinging to the past. Doesn't help us. Yeah, thank you for sharing and being so honest. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts. And one is that success is not linear. You know this, it is wiggly. It is all about our intention. It's about our consciousness. It's about creating patterns that will set us up for success. It's about really knowing the feeling that we want to choose to feel and knowing that every single choice we make is going to take us towards or away from that feeling, from that intention, from that goal. And those choices are always ours to make, always. Even when we would like them not to be, they are our choices to make. So my last couple of thoughts are, think about how you're going to reward yourself. Think about how you're going to track your progress. And think about who you could look to for accountability, encouragement, and inspiration. So I would love to take, we've got a few minutes for any questions. I'd love to take questions if you have any. And obviously, I'm also going to leave you all the details of how to work with us, because we want to work with you. We are, thanks, Carol, a lovely thing to say, is you can work with us as a candidate to a client if you're hiring, or indeed if you're looking for talks and training for your organization. That is what we do all the time. I love the Pomodoro app. I think that's brilliant. I think that I will actually send you some resources. We'll send out the recording after this, and I'll send you some apps that are going to be really, really good, and some books as well. Some books and some apps, anything. Hi, Anne-Marie, nice to see you again. And yeah, we'll get the recording out to everybody. If anyone has got any, I know somebody asked for my own journey, but that would probably need to do that in another session. But yes, I have absolutely worked on an awful lot of habits myself. Thank you so much for being here with me. I cannot wait to see you all again at another session. Please do reach out to work with us. We love working with like-minded people, and the fact that you're here means we are already connected. So I very much hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome rest of your Wednesday. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. Take care, everyone. Nice to be here with you all. Take care. Bye, everybody.